Now I'm going to go back into my colleague and buddy here, Jim Hardenberg, and talk about some of the new learning infrastructure or models that are coming to pass. You know, certainly social media, the web, the internet have all put us in a new dimension. So what's going to be the impact on CPE and learning from you know, a different platform these days?
I think generally with the new standards that are coming out, nano learning as well as blended learning are part of the new CPE standards and will open up the door to new opportunities. The infrastructure that will be built around that is going to be similar to what young folks are seeing with YouTube and TED Talks and essentially the internet bringing those capabilities to the table and then synergizing it into the learning environments that we're currently evolving to. And I would say that it's going to be a market reaction. There's going to be a market adjustment period where folks are going to sit down and see what works best for them. There's going to be multiple opportunities, and I can see it being a hybrid, some type of balancing or rebalancing of how folks take training. And I will have to say that I think that a live touch point, meaning people getting together face to face, will remain an important part of the future. People won't just learn on their own. They won't automatically digest on their own. They won't understand everything right out of the gate. And humans are people that get together. They get together and talk about these like-kind issues. And I could see classrooms getting shorter, maybe not an 8-hour format, but maybe it'll be a 4-hour format or a 2-hour format where folks will get together and bring these infrastructures and leverage all of them together to bring learning and make it more personable.
What happens to self-study as a result of all of this? Because self-study's been here for a while with us. How do you see that changing, or will it change?
I see self-study as an area that has been around, as you say. It's been around since mandatory education began. It was all paper and pencil back then. I look at nano learning as frankly another mode of self-study in my humble view, just a shorter increment. But I could see self-study being a part of the future. But again, I want to emphasize the part. It's not going to take over and be the only way. It's going to be a piece of the puzzle that people should learn on their own, read on their own, look at videos on their own, but then come together at the end of the day, whether it's internal at a company or firm, or together with us. If at a state society we want to gather these professionals together, that's going to be how it works, I think.
So now, you know, for the old guys like myself, I say seasoned, who've been accustomed to coming to live training, you know, sitting for whether it's 2 hours, 4 hours, or 8 hours, where do you see live training kind of fading away into the sunset, or will there always be some opportunity or an opportunity for live training to remain in place? I mean, do you see us moving into this, totally into this new delivery method, you know, maybe sooner than later, or will live training always have a place, Jim, do you think?
I think live training, as long as people exist, will always have a place. It's almost like when you look at the kids today, they still go to school, they still congregate together, and they still learn a lot from each other. They do more offline now, because they can. They're always connected. Folks are always connected now. And the live portion of life, it's going to decline from a training perspective because there are so many opportunities now, so many virtual training opportunities. That's a natural reaction to the growth of internet and online training. But there's going to be always a need for people to get together, and I don't mean to say that over and over again, but I can feel it that's going to be the end game. It's going to be less than it is today, but it's not going to go away.
Okay, so Steve, let me flip back to you. As being you know, in academia, do you see the model changing for academia? Do we see us? I know there are MOOCs out there, and that they're long distance learning programs. Are they going to kind of take over, and now would you see a situation where maybe you do most of your training over the web or internet, and maybe do only 2 years in a residential environment? I mean, I've heard some people talk about that, and I sit on a couple of boards, accounting programs, and there's been some discussion about, will the virtual classroom take over for what we see today is the live classroom where somebody's up in front of a whiteboard, actively teaching a group out there, or so. What do you foresee?
Well, I think do you know an organization like Phoenix University has 500,000 students, so they're very large, and that's all online, and so all colleges are looking at them and saying, how do we have to compete in the future and offer more online courses?
And we have our own here with I believe Thomas Edison is all online as well,
right.
Here,
and
face to face.
And so there's a change that's already been in place for 10 years or so now. I think there's a place for the online classes. If you already have some idea about the course material, then online is fine. But if it's a brand new subject for you, it's hard to do online on something, doing it yourself. The theory is you could wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, right, and go online and learn something. But to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and do something that you don't know anything about is very difficult to do. So I think the colleges talk about it, they embrace it, but they're slow moving going forward, and they want to assess the value of it. And you're also trying to assess, just like we talk about the assessment tools we need for CPAs, you also have to assess if someone's taking an online course that it's actually them that's taking the course, right? And so if you have all these students out there taking online courses, do you know who is the student on the other side taking that course? So that will be a challenge going forward. And if you don't mind, I want to get back to a point that Jim made about the need going forward. In 2 months, you're going to have your annual convention. And so there's a real need for people to network and share ideas in a combined setting, blended learning, where you have that structured courses that people are taking, and then they get together at coffee breaks and the exhibit area to go into, and learning happens there as well. And you could meet an old friend and talk about an issue that comes up. So I think there will always be a value for those conventions where people of like mind come together and learning happens. I don't think they will be given us credit for some of those things, but it's a great opportunity for people to come together and talk about things that are happening in the practice.